Howdy, everyone. This is Just Plain Nonsense. And I'm Just Plain Michael.
And I'm Just Plain Rob.
I'm Shane.
Okay.
He's flavored differently.
Yeah, so today's episode that we're going to be dancing around in, this topic is going to be kind of dear to my heart because I just experienced this week. So I thought it's fresh in mind to talk about.
And it was super scary.
Yeah. So it's basically being sick and hospital encounters, but we're going to discuss it in the opposite order.
I have so many examples.
So how we deal with being sick, like that. But we're going to go first as part one is just hospital encounters, ER, stuff like that,
Gotcha.
Clinic stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, whenever I was first born, I was in the hospital for an entire month. Does that count? I mean, I don't remember any of it.
I thought you were just going to say, when I was first born, I was in the hospital.
No, I was in a little incubator tube.
Oh, were you like a little...
Oh, yeah, I was 3 pounds.
So you were a preemie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Another weird thing may have coming. I was in a preemie, but I was in the hospital for a while for stuff. But that's crazy.
3 pounds?
Uh-huh.
That's so small.
My mom used to tell me she could literally about fit me in her hand.
That's so
when I was first
tiny.
born.
So you're like a little kitten.
Correct. Yeah, I'm still a kitten,
cute.
actually.
That's cute. A little.
Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Me too.
Oh. It's a baby.
Yeah, baby.
It's a baby.
It's like it's the level below.
Yeah.
Step down.
Man, that's such a scary thing.
Not for me. I don't remember.
What? Has your mom ever talked to you about
He was
it?
just
Oh, yeah, she talks about it all the time.
So what was she feeling?
Well, I was their first child, so it was like
That made it
generally
even-
terrifying. She used to go. I mean, I was in St. Louis, so she would drive back and forth basically like every week.
She didn't stay there?
I think she did for part of it, and then she was home for like the latter end.
Man, that had to be so hard for her to be away from you. Like your first baby, and you're like, I have to leave him in the hospital.
Like I think she was there for like the majority. I think she'd like go back for like a day, and then like
Okay,
you would.
I got
yeah.
you.
She wasn't like, hey,
thought
I'll
she
go
had-
visit you on the weekend.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. She'd be like at home for a week and then come back.
No. I think she was there pretty much the whole time.
Okay, but so she was mostly in there with you, and
what
then
I've
she'd
been
drive
told.
home when she needed.
From what you can remember, because you were
Which
just
is
a
nothing,
baby.
But
Right.
what I've been told, yes.
Okay,
Interesting.
that's still a scary situation for her. I can't imagine what she
yeah.
was going through.
Because I guess like the whole reason that happened too is, especially when you're preemie, it happens all the time. Your lungs are underdeveloped, so they basically just like don't work right, and they have to put you in the incubator for long enough for your lungs to be able to work.
So do you know if they like make you cry constantly, or like what's up with that?
I have no idea.
You don't remember?
No.
It's interesting because we had the extra stay in the hospital thing come. But one thing we had different was that I was like a huge baby. I was like 10 pounds.
Of course you were.
Yeah, I was freaking huge. Freaking huge.
Huge.
So I'm congested, so I can't do my.
You can't put the H on it. Freaking huge.
If I wasn't congested, which we'll find out why in a second, I'd be able to do an impersonation. But yeah, so the hospital, right?
Right.
With that, I had an interesting encounter this week where I thought I was going to die, which there's been many times in my life that I barely escaped death. So it's weird.
And that's not an exaggeration
It's
either.
not like, yeah, God's got to look out for me because I keep getting myself in situations.
We all need to look out for
Yeah.
you. Like it's a team effort.
Yeah, so it was. Should I go ahead and start with it? I labeled this thing bloodiest week ever.
Oh my gosh.
This is the bloodiest week of my life. So I was talking to Rob on the phone, doing our thing. I was twirling my hair. We're talking about JPN, stuff like that,
Yeah, I was on my bed on my elbows, and I had my feet up in the air, looking at my Justin Bieber poster.
And as you guys know who have been following us for all these years and recently in our YouTube endeavors, one of my trademark things is that I pretty much just start chugging energy drinks because I'm very sleep deprived. I'm a busy guy. I work midnights at my job. I'm in local politics recently. I have times and seasons that the year where I'm more busy than others. So I wasn't taking care of my health. And so drinking like 3 energy drinks a day and 5 if it's a freaking podcast day.
And we were always like making light of it.
Yeah. And, you always, a lot of times people, myself included, think that they're tougher than they are. But we're very fragile and things can happen, right? And it also gives me a good way to kind of, if I was influenced any kids to be that way, if for some reason you looked up to me for whatever weird reason, don't do that. Like, it's not good for you. So anyway, I haven't been getting much sleep. I wasn't taking care of my health, given the short version of this. And my blood pressure has been high for a long time. I don't have high blood pressure by diagnosis, but every time I go to get checked, just like on the vlog where we went to the doctor, because I kept having things that would wind me up in the hospital for small stuff or whatever, and I get my pressure checked, and they're like, it's super high. Is it normally that high? I'm like, no, it's whatever. And so I even cracked the joke. I was like, no, they're just measuring my masculinity. It's real high, you know. But you know, I never took it seriously. I'm like, I'm all right. Started having chest pains here and there. It's like, but you know, whatever. It's just
overlook problem after problem.
Yeah.
Heart attacks, they're fine. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Well, you know, I missing as much sleep as I'm not taking care of my body the way I was. And my wife had been telling me for a while because I guess she loves me or something, you know, hey girl, and you know, you need to cut it down. I'm like, don't nag me. I'm fine. Like, I'm still young. I'm pretty, you know, I got this. Like, well, they end up putting, if all those signs weren't enough, people tell me, doctors, you know, I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, right? So they end up putting a blood pressure machine in my freaking job just recently, and I'm like, I'm gonna go check that out, and it freaking flashed red. It doesn't, you know, it's like it's high, and you need to bring it down. I'm like, well, it looks like I just need to drink me some water, you know, and stopped lifting. You know, I lost a lot on my mask because, you know, the whole social thing, you know, whatever, and the gyms have been closed. And so I just drink more water, you know, and
I mean, that is healthy.
Yeah,
you should do that.
Well, this week I started, Wednesday I started having chest pain, a little tightness, and I got a little dizzy, and I tasted like aluminum in my mouth. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I was like, and I felt lethargic. I'm like, I need to sit down a little bit. And I almost called into work, but I didn't, because I'm like, I have a 1-day vacation scheduled, which extends my weekend. I was like, I'm just going to tough it out, even though I had 2 hours of sleep.
Pineapples.
Yeah, chugged a couple more energy drinks, you know, and went on my merry way. And so went to work, came home, didn't feel right. Felt kind of weak or whatever, but then chugged an energy drink.
Oh my God.
And got done the task that I wanted to get done that day.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I'm like, it's my freaking weekend. You know,
baby, I'm about to have
that's what I told my wife. Like, it's my freaking weekend, honey. I'm having some fun. She's like, maybe you need to sleep. I'm like, I'll sleep tonight. It's no big deal, right? So then later on that evening, I was talking to Rob on the phone, right? Now we understand the probable cause, right? So my blood pressure's been high for a while, but I don't have high blood pressure by diagnosis. Just I've been treating my body like dog crap. And I'm talking to Rob on the phone, and I bend over, and I was kind of angry about some stuff, and my blood pressure's already high. And Rob is really good at calming me down. You know, he's you know, that kind of person, that kind of friend. He's that dude. So he was calming me down. I felt a little better, and I was like, okay. Started to get a headache again, and I bent over to grab. I think I was like, ooh, a nickel, you know, because
in your garage,
yeah. Shiny.
Well, I like to keep change separated in different clear water bottles by what coin they are, and then when I fill them up, I put them big. They just, I don't know, I'm weird, but so I was like, oh, a nickel, you know, and I go pick it up, and I guess my blood pressure was so high, and that the pressure was so high that when I bent over, I started popping some blood vessels, and I stood up, and blood started coming out of my nose, and it didn't take long before it was coming out of my mouth. And I started getting pretty nervous, and I told Rob, I said, I don't remember my exact words, but I was like, hey buddy, I'm bleeding really bad. I need to get off the phone.
Something along those lines.
And so like me, I'm actually kind of a big baby with certain things, but you won't know it because I use humor, or I'll just kind of brush it off so I can calm myself down and others around me, right? Because I don't want to freak out.
Freak out. And
so I get inside. By the time I get into my garage and into my kitchen area, the blood was coming out so profusely that I couldn't catch it all. So I went over my sink, you know, and I yelled for my wife. And I felt bad because my kids ended up seeing it. And my wife ran them off, and my mom came in there. And, you know, I heard that nosebleeds can be really bad. So, but I couldn't find later this wasn't necessarily a nosebleed. And so blood was coming out, and I started choking on it and doing my thing where I was praying, all that stuff. And I won't go into all that right now. It's not necessary for this content, this kind of thing. But my mom's like, tells my wife to call an ambulance. And I go, no, those things are freaking expensive.
That's ridiculous that you have to worry about the price of it over your health.
They'll gouge your eyes out.
America.
This is America.
So my wife's like, no, let's just go. And we end up agreeing on going. And so
you got a bucket.
I started getting short of breath, and the blood still wouldn't stop coming out. It was just ridiculous. And so I went outside because I didn't want my kids to see me like that, just in case I fainted, you know. I go out there, and the ambulance comes up, and they're talking to me, and end up having a really good conversation with the EMT guy. You know, I feel like we're pretty much bros enough that then I started choking really intensely. And I guess, you know, those prayers worked. Well, I know they did, but I started choking. The EMT described it to the doctor when he got me inside that it was probably the biggest blood clot he's ever seen. And it was like the size, of course he was exaggerating slightly, but he said it was the size, it looked like it was the size of the fire hydrant we passed coming in. And that's why I was choking on, but I was healing that fast, right? I guess my body was just like, hey, you know, we need to stop this. And so I get in there and they start cauterizing it and package me up. Well, you know, doctors do what they can, you know, but they're not specialists, right? And so you got to keep that in mind. There's one doctor I have a problem with, won't mention his name, but you'll see why in a little bit on a different night. Because I was in the ER 3 to 4 nights in 3 days or something like that. Like it kept happening. But so, you know, they were really cool to me. They cauterized it, put me some packaging, you know, and then sent me on my way. So you should be good. I'm like, all right, cool. I get home about 3 a.m. As my wife was kind of nervous for what she saw, you know, so she stayed next to me, you know, and every time I moved, she'd go, you know, and I slept on the couch because I need to sleep sitting up, you know, pretty much like a vampire, which is how I've slept every day since then. And I'm trying to sum this up real quick. So blood starts leaking again, like profusely. I got a Walmart bag, not sponsored by Walmart. And there's some paper towels that start laying, and it's just blood just come. I'm trying to squeeze it and apply pressure. It's just coming out through my nose. I'm choking on it, so I have to let go just so I can breathe. And it was just a nightmare. And I'm like, no ambulance this time. I was like, just take me. And so my wife jumps in the truck, takes me to the hospital. And the doctor that night, so they shove a rocket in my nose, is what they call it. So they put in your nose, and I'm really going to turn people off by introducing. Probably not going to get my sponsorship now, but you guys are more important, right? So anyway, they shove the rocket up my nose and it has a balloon at the end of it, right? And so they fill up with air. They put this solution on to help stop the bleeding. And there's a balloon in the back and it swells up. Well, what they didn't know is that all those years I spent boxing, I destroyed my nose. And my septum wasn't straight and like everything was wrong. So they were actually causing more harm to me. So then I go home and then go back in like the next night or whatever, and my head's swelling up and I feel like my teeth are going to pop out of my head. My eyes are in excruciating pain because of all the pressure. And the one doctor I didn't like, he goes, what's the problem? I was like, blood's still dripping down my throat. It's still coming. There's pressure. It didn't stop the bleeding and I'm in severe pain. He goes, well, what do you suspect we do? Because we got to leave it in for 2 days, right? And I go, I don't know, sir. It hurts. You're the doctor. Help me make this pain go away. You know, get me doped up. I don't care. Make it stop. Like, because this isn't fixing it. And sure, I found out later from the specialist I was right. You know, I didn't understand how much so, but
right.
So this pain, and he goes, you're just uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable. And I said, sir, I boxed for years. I used to get hit in the head for fun. I'm not being a wimp. I'm not being a baby. This is excruciating. Like something's not right. So he pulls it out to something else, whatever. And I go home. And then next day I go to a different hospital. When it happens, it starts bleeding again. I'm like, come on. Go to a different hospital. And the dude, this is how, now you're getting why this is the bloodiest week ever, right? So I get to the hospital and their bedside manner was awesome. Because the doctor from before, when I told him I was in pain, he said, I'll be back in 25 minutes to check on you. 27 minutes later, because you count when you're in pain, I looked over from a distance. He was playing chess with his RN. I was super ticked. And I told my wife, like, I've had enough of this. And I'm like, no. He's about to mess with my face. I'll yell at him later. I was like tomorrow when I get better. I was like, so anyway, the next night I go to the other hospital, who usually doesn't have a good reputation with me from things I've heard, you know, but their bedside manner was phenomenal. It was like, whatever you do, I don't care if you get it right or get it wrong, it takes you forever. I really appreciate you guys, helping me out. Like, they got me on pain meds. They treated, they were real kind. They were trying to help me through it. They're because I was freaking nervous,
Right.
And so, and that stuff hurts, by the way, when they ran that up there. And they put another one up there, blah, blah, blah. They sent me home and they said, you have an appointment with the specialist tomorrow, or you go see the specialist tomorrow. We made the appointment. My wife handled that because, I'm out of it. I'm super high on drugs, prescription wise. And so I go to the specialist and he pulls it out and blood's coming everywhere. And I end up getting blood all over his $200-something pants. And I love this doctor because he's freaking real, right? He gives me basically what we jokingly called a lap dance. He jumps, this guy's like 70 something, 80 years old, right? He jumps on my lap so I wouldn't sit still. Because this is, by the way, it's super painful when they ram those in there. And he looks at my nose, vacuums out, does all that stuff. And he's like, sorry, man, I gave you a lap dance because your body's too long and you won't stop moving. And I'm like, well, it hurts. He's like, I get that, and I got blood all over his pants. And he was cracking jokes, trying to keep me in the right mood. And I really appreciate that stuff. It's not necessary, but I love that.
Yeah, he went above for you.
Yeah, and so then after that, he's like, okay, we're gonna package it up and come see me in a couple of days. He does it again. He's like, you have to have surgery. He's like, because it won't stop. And we're going to the surgery thing. He's like, you look good. Come in tomorrow. We're gonna put your packaging out. It's like, sweet. So that was like yesterday, right? I go in there. There's 4 things in my note deep in my canal, right? 4 of them. He pulls out 2 and I start bleeding again. He goes, why is this happening? And I go, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. He goes, we're just going to leave that in for a couple more days because it's just basically common sense. He said, the enemy of good is perfection. It's like, it's still bleeding. We need to keep it pressed. It's that simple.
Right.
He said, we'll come in a couple more days, which is on Monday morning. And he said, and we'll check it then. But he was just so patient. He explained to me why it's going wrong. And he said, your nose has been at the business end of some fist, hasn't it? And I go, yeah, I used to box. He's like, well, me too. And he's like, how many times you broke your nose? And I was telling him that. And he goes, and I said, I actually reset my own nose the last time by myself. And then he looked at me and goes, you did a horrible job. Right. And I was trying to laugh, because every time I did a little bit, but he's like, we're just going to give you some good drugs. We're going to knock you out. We're going to take care of you, but we're going to figure this out. And I was like, thank you. Because I love that he was like, I don't know because you can't know these things yet.
Right.
He said, but we're going to figure it out and we're going to put you at comfort. And that was like that experience. And it was so awesome. And of course, my kids are traumatized now because, and by the way, it hurts when they rip it out.
I told you it was going to. I was like, dude, that's going to hurt so bad.
Well, I warn them. Every time I warn doctors and nurses, some of them honor this and some of them just ignore me. But like I always tell them, like, if it's going to hurt, let me know. Don't say it's going to sting, whatever. Let me know because I'm going to sit on my hands and I'm going to cooperate with you. But I need a brace for it,
You need to be ready for the level.
Yeah. And so every time some nurse like, it's going to hurt. I'm like, thank you. It means a lot. I'd sit on my hands. I'd be like, I'm not going to move a bit. I'm going to help you do your job, right? Help you help me, right? And then one guy didn't do it. He just like ripped him out or whatever. He's like, it ain't got to be that bad. And he ripped out. Like, well, if I told you, it's like, no, I told you what I felt, But anyway, this guy, I love this guy because his humor was just straight up. But my wife was sitting right there and he goes, I was like, so I need to know so I brace myself because I want to move for you, I was like, how bad is this going to hurt? And he goes, it's going to feel like I'm ripping it through your eyeballs through your sockets. And I go, ouch. And he goes, sorry. He goes, ouch. And I go, and I said, ouch. He goes, yeah. And he said, so you're going to sit still? And I go, sir, that's all I needed to know. I sat still, and all of a sudden, and he goes, he referenced an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And I go, it's just like that. And I go, I don't know, man. Like, all I could think of is freaking Kindergarten Cop right now. So that, and so the pain was so intense, it hit me so all of a sudden, when I sat back, that in pain, I literally did the Arnold voice in pain. And it was, I think he was trying to fight not laughing when he was doing it. Because he was like, all right, here we go. You ready? And I go, yeah. And he rips it out, and I go, and he rips it out, he goes, still bleeding, we're done. And then, but I love that kind of doctor, man. He has my respect because he's honest, he's old school, he's not going to sugarcoat. He's like, you're a man, not a kid, not a boy. And if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, but help me out here, don't be a baby, And I loved that, like that. But he's pretty much confirmed me that everything that doctor and everything all of them were doing, were, not all, but especially that one particular that was playing chess, like, was wrong. He said they were actually damaged because there's 3 shelves to know. He was actually damaging me. So I was right that he was causing problems. It was whatever. Now, he didn't know. I don't hold that against him.
Right.
But also, when I tell you, hey, man, like, it hurts. Look at me. Don't come back 27 minutes later when you see you back 20 minutes with no pain meds because you got to checkmate somebody.
Well, I mean, in fairness to, I mean, like, I feel like that's just sometimes emergency room in general. I mean, because they're not trying to like sit down and figure out your whole problem. They're just trying to make sure you're not dying. But like
that's why I said accredited to him. Is
like a month. I think it was like probably a month and a half ago or something like that. It was like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. And I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep, about to go to sleep, kind of scrolling around on my phone. And Amanda goes to the bathroom. She's like, I'm going to throw up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, cool. I remember the story.
And literally she goes in there and she goes back out. She's like, so I just like threw up blood all over the toilet. And I'm like, oh, like blood.
Like blood in it or blood?
No, like blood. Like she's vomiting Exorcist style blood. And I'm like, oh.
And it was all over.
Yeah. When was this?
A month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago.
It's been a bloody season lately.
And I was like, oh, that's great. I'm like, we're going to the ER. She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're going to the ER.
She also said that it smelled like death.
Yes, it smelled terrible. Well, I've been told if you throw up blood, sometimes it does smell bad. Yeah, so we go there. Get her in, and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, she's throwing up blood. And they're like, oh, okay. And literally, we see the doctor finally. He's like, first thing, he's like, yeah, have you ate anything that's red? And we're like, no. And he's like, oh, cool. Okay. Tell him a couple things, run some tests. And she made a mistake. I feel like, and this isn't a knock on all doctors, nor is it a knock on all ERs, because I've had some pretty good experiences, while I've gone. But I feel like they just try to look for anything. Oh, that means I need to restart our thing. I apologize.
That should be on silent.
I didn't know it was going to go off. I thought it was just like a stopwatch timer. Okay. But basically, I feel like sometimes they're just trying to listen for anything they can to figure it out really quick and get you out. Because she was like, they were like, well, did you have like a headache or anything like that? She's like, well, like I've had migraines before, but like I wasn't really having one. I just, had a little headache and then I threw up. And they're like, oh, okay. And then come back like, oh yeah, you had a migraine. You're fine. It's like, yeah, but you're throwing up blood though. Like, where did the blood come from? And they just never really commented on that part. They're like, yeah, you're good. And it's like, but exorcist vomit. And they're like, it's fine.
That's what I hate
you're
about
ignoring very big symptoms here.
Right. That's what I hate about that kind of stuff, because they're like, it feels like it's a big deal to you, and they overlook it because they know the science behind it.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't, but then you're still scared.
Sir, I wasn't worried about the vomit part. It's the blood part that I was worried about.
Right. Like, yeah, you throw up when you have a migraine. Understandable. Why is there blood?
Why the blood?
It's like, what'd you eat? Not vomit. I mean, not blood. Not a freaking vampire.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy how this to have. The human body's so fragile. It's kind of the point to take from all that is you got to, and like from that, like I have my one energy drink now on our podcast nights. And other than that, I'm drinking Gatorade and water, and I'm taking care of myself, and I'm taking care of my life. And if anybody started for some weird reason looked up to me as a kid or something, I don't know, and you're out here and you're watching this, you're like, hey, Michael drinks energy drinks. I want to drink tons of energy drinks. Don't do it. It's not good for you. Please
indulge yourself with a reasonable amount of caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a youth pastor and you have one of those monster bars at your church, please stop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been to the emergency room a lot. Like when I was a kid, I was so active, but I always like got hurt doing stuff. Like I busted. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have this giant scar on my head.
I've never heard that story.
I was 4. You're 4 years old. And I had just got these new. Okay, so this is gonna date me. Have you ever heard of British Knights?
I'll date you.
What's up?
No.
How you doing?
I have no idea.
Have you heard of British Knights?
No.
British Knights they were a shoe, and they were. I didn't know anything about them because I was 4 years old, but I had some, and they were brand new. And you know how on brand new shoes,
I'm getting my blood pressure right doing this.
Gotcha.
I figured that's what you're doing. When you have brand new shoes, the soles are like really, really sticky. Like, because they're rubber, they're brand new.
Right.
So I went to go do something with the teacher, talk to her, give her something, an assignment or whatever, and I went back, going back to my seat, and I ran across the carpet because I wanted to sit in my seat and slide my chair across the floor. So I started to run, and my foot got caught on the rug, like these brand new shoes got caught on the rug, and I face planted into the corner of a table.
Ooh.
And it hit right above my eye.
Too much grip.
Yeah. And apparently what happened was I hit it, it busted my head open, and I was out.
Yeah.
And my teacher freaked out. I remember coming to, and there was like a skinny black man standing above me, and he was wearing a blue button-up shirt.
Rephrase.
There was a skinny man who was black.
Okay.
And he was standing up there, and he was wearing a blue button-up shirt, and he had the those brown paper towels that you have in like the bathrooms and stuff, and he was forcing it on my head, and I could just see in front of my eye just blood just running down. And then it's kind of one of those things where you like barely open your eyes and then you're out. Like I don't know what woke me up, but I remember that, and I remember the pressure on my forehead. And then what's your result?
Well, my wife watches this, so it's not dangerous, but it's enough to where I promised her if it hit anywhere near this, that I would switch to water.
Good choice.
See, responsible.
Unlike the cars out in the freaking road that you just heard racing down the street.
It also be high because I'm like,
Excited because I'm telling this.
It's not
awesome
high,
story.
but it's near that line where I told my wife.
All right, so my parents get there to pick me up, and my dad said it looked like I had another mouth over my eye. And if it would have been 1 inch lower, I would have lost my eyeball.
Bruh.
Whoa.
So they took me to the hospital. I got 21 stitches, like 7. There's like 3 different layers of 7 stitches to get it all stitched up because it was all the way down to the bone.
Ooh.
777, bro.
Yep. And
That's interesting.
so anyway, that's how I got that scar. And I was I don't remember going to the emergency room, but that was me. I was obviously in the emergency room. I busted my elbow open riding you see that scar right there, a little triangle scar?
Sure do. Yep.
I was riding my bike, and I just come from a friend's house, and my front tire was covered in mud. And I was going around. There was a car that was driving toward me, and I was going to go off to the side of the road. And when I did, my front tire slid out from under me, and I landed on my elbows on the road. Ooh. Took a big old chunk out of my elbow. My dad came home, and he put paper towels and duct tape on it, which was
that is the manly way.
That's the solution. And we went to the emergency room, and we sat in the emergency room for 5.5 hours.
Oh my God.
And this was in Houston, Texas, and I had duct tape and paper towel right here.
There you go, man.
All my guts in.
That's the Southern way, man.
It's real.
And so what the reason we were there for 5.5 hours was because they take, I don't know if people don't understand how an emergency room works, they take you by order of condition.
Triage. Yeah.
So if we were sitting there and this guy carried in his kid, he was just limp and not responsive at all. He apparently got hit in the head with a soccer ball, and it's like 150 degrees outside. So that was definitely more important than my little elbow.
Yeah, it turns out.
I've broken my wrist, my ankle. I cracked the growth plate in my ankle when I was playing basketball because we were playing in somebody's driveway, and the driveway kind of angled down, where it goes down to the road. And I jumped to block a ball, and I hit that. My ankle rolled my ankle, cracked the growth plate. Sat in the emergency room for that. Broke my wrist jumping out of a tree. I was probably 2 stories up.
Dang, dude.
Fell out of a tree. I didn't jump out of the tree. I fell out of the
If
tree.
you're going to fall 2 stories, always remember to catch yourself with your hands and break both of your arms. It's the best way to do it.
You'll have a real good relationship with your mom after that.
Oh, no. Oh, no, don't.
Anyway, so I fell. That's for all my Reddit viewers out there. So I fell all the way down the ground, and when I did, I caught myself like this, and I ended up getting a mouthful of dirt, and this bone here was to the side, and then this other one was to the other side. So it was all messed up. So my dad came to my babysitter's house, and he wrapped my hand in newspaper and then ace bandage. And that's how he stabilized it.
Man, your dad's really got some nice.
Yeah, my dad was I think he did sports injury kind of things. Like he would take. I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, man, I've had all kinds of injuries. I broke my knee going down a slide on my stomach.
Sounds like you get a lot of owies, and your dad's like he's all
He's on it.
He's ready. He's like, oh, here we go again.
So what?
Don't forget your lunch and your med kit. Have a good day at school.
Med kit. That's going to be the thumbnail. That's going to be me walking to school with the med kit, just carrying it. Yeah, man, I hurt, and all the injuries happened on the left side of my body.
Oh.
It was my left eyebrow, my left wrist, my left elbow, my left knee, my left ankle. All of it.
Mine's all been my right mostly. One day we'll have an owie contest. Like we'll just discuss all our owies and just put it all together and see. Because you seem to have a lot of owies
Yeah.
too.
Well, this was when I was younger, man, and I just did a bunch of dumb stuff because I was real active and all that kind of stuff.
I was just dumb.
I feel like everything that's happened to me has been equally distributed.
So I know we were talking about emergency room stuff like that, but I got in injuries. So we were going out to the park, and me, my brother, and my dad, and we loved to go out and play baseball together. So we found this ball in the back of the truck. I don't know where it came from. My dad had an S10 pickup truck.
What kind of ball are we talking?
Well, I'm gonna get to that because that matters.
Okay.
So we thought it was a softball that had the skin busted off of it. So we thought we found the middle of a softball. So we picked it up, and it looked like there was like some threads wrapped around it. So we pulled them off, and we're like, okay, cool, it's a softball. I tossed the ball to my brother. I'm standing at the pitcher's mound. I softball toss it to my brother. He smashes it back at me, hits me right in the mouth, knocks one of my teeth out.
Oh.
I got all my teeth now. So this
I
is my
knocked
baby
one
teeth.
out. I still have one I have to get fixed, but yeah.
Turns
it
out
happens.
it was a croquet ball.
Oh.
It was solid wood.
Was he like, are you okay?
Are you croquet? That was good.
No, it wasn't. I'm ashamed of that pun.
Mark 1 on the pun meter.
I'm trying to keep one every episode. If I have to reach, I have to reach.
But yeah, so he hit me right in the mouth, and I felt one of my teeth got loose.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was bad. And then another time we were playing baseball, and my brother Randy pitched the ball to my dad, and my dad hit it and hit Randy right in the top of the head. Oof. And Randy said he didn't remember anything after that except for me because I was in the outfield. He remembered me standing above him. So he was out between the time that it took for me to run from the outfield to the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, that's a good knock. That's a clean knockout.
Yeah. Hit him right in the top of the head. And I heard the crack too, man. It was like, it was crack. And I was like, we're done for the day.
We done for the day.
Yeah. I guess that's what's wrong with him though now.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so I've had a lot of, wait, hold on. Since I'm talking about Randy, I can talk about his emergency room experiences.
Yes, especially this emergency room.
Yeah, I like to talk about injuries.
Well, we're doing an episode later in the year about injuries and owies. I'm going to do public, like big epic ones. So that, yeah, so if it's emergency related, throw it in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll retell all
We're
those
at the
other
halfway
stories.
mark.
So my brother, he went to the hospital because he had, he was feeling really faint. And I may be mistelling some of the story, but the points are there. So he's a bigger dude like me, not as big as me, and he's a lot shorter than me. So he's in the emergency room, and he sitting there with my dad, and then he goes and he walks up to the counter and he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm about to pass out." And she goes, "What?" Because he's passed out before, so he knows what it feels like. And the lady was like, "What? How do you what?" So he's like, "Yeah, I'm about to pass out." And but before he even finished that sentence, he dropped on the ground. So he wakes up to like 7 people trying to put him in a wheelchair. What's going on? Stop it. I need an adult. So first of all, he wasn't that big, but when you're dealing with an unconscious body,
It's dead weight, man.
yeah, you need as many people as you can get. So he's like, he wakes up halfway through it and they've got him. He's like laying in the chair just barely. He's like, his back is on the chair. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he tries to help them. But when you're coming out of like being fainted, you're like,
Moms and noodles.
yeah, you're like, he's trying, but he couldn't get it. So finally, anyway, they got him up into the chair. But yeah, he was out. And it turns out he was like dehydrated.
Bruh, why is that always it though?
My brother is always dehydrated. He's not a water drinker.
Okay, so this will be my last emergency room story. And then if you guys have one, you throw in before we move into part 2, which is being sick.
I do have one that you sparked, and it'll be a short one.
Yeah, that's fine. Because it's kind of related to that. And so here's my, and I was actually going to talk about, which is funny because it's a great segue. I call this one the heat exhaustion to collapse, into collapsing, into the medical room, into morphine party on the couch.
That sounds like a good story.
That's the progression of this, right? So here we go, ready? So I was going for a run, right? And I was a distance runner for a long time. What's even more embarrassing is I was a corpsman. I was a medic in the military, so for a period of time. So like the number one thing I put into people
was water.
was water. It was like I have a headache. Water. I feel like I'm cramping. Water. It's always how much water to drink. That was always the first go-to thing because it's so important to be hydrated. And I was a distance runner for years in high school. And I started, when I got out and I moved here, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get in shape. So I did attempt at different points. I was like, I'm going to start getting a distance running. So I started getting a distance running again. And of course, I'm old and out of shape. But I gave it a valiant effort. And I was like, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a runner's high.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like you start running past that pain threshold, your body will start releasing those endorphins, and you just start freaking, like, you feel this euphoric feeling. You're able to just keep going, right? Well, I forgot that I didn't drink much water, and I was like, okay, well, I wasn't in shape yet, and I wasn't thinking, because I was having that runner's high, I haven't had those in years, and so I was like, I feel good, I'm just gonna keep going, right? Wind's at my back, I feel good. I was like, I think I'm gonna go for 8 miles, which back in my day, that was nothing, right? I ran a couple marathons.
I walked half a block the other day, and I was exhausted.
Well, I freaking, I go for it, I feel good. No symptoms. I started getting a little wobbly and I started feeling cramps in my stomach, and immediately I'm like, heat cramps, right? So I'm like, well, I'm going to slow down, but I know not to sit down or stop because that's really bad for your heart. So I finally get to my road. I'm walking fast. I'm doing the Jenny Craig power walk, moving with, and I get down to my road. I'm like, all right, there's my road. They say like most car accidents happen within 5 miles because you put your arm down. I guess that's the same thing happened with me with walking. I'm like, there's my house. I'm a 2.5 minute walk away. I get there and all of a sudden I start feeling more cramped. I start feeling wobbly and I can feel the heat radiating from me. I'm like, this is heat exhaustion and I'm about to go out. I could feel it. So I'm like, I just need to get home and have not just straight water because you should dehydrate yourself. I need to have a little bit of salt and some water and, kind of slowly rehydrate myself. Yeah, so I see my grass is getting closer. I get there, and I said something weird, and I was like, woobly, I'll just say woobly because that's how I felt.
Yeah, you're a little past wobbly.
Yeah, so I'm like, woo, it's like you're woozy, but you're also wobbly. Woobly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice save.
Yeah. Hashtag, it's my vocabulary. I can make words if I want to.
That's going to be a long hashtag.
So I get there, and I just like, boom, right on the ground.
In the grass?
Yeah. Ugh. And I kind of gave my bearings. I'm like, and I had my arm thing on because I was listening to music, check off, and I call my wife and I'm like, hey girl, because that's what I call her. I'm off the show, of course. I'm like, I don't feel very well. And she's like, where you at? I'm like, yard. And I end up getting up and stop being a baby and going inside for a second, and the cool air hit me and made it a little worse.
It made it worse?
Shock in your body.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I felt more sick, and then it just got real bad and fuzzy, and I kind of started to stagger a little bit, and I couldn't really feel my face, and went to the emergency room and get there. And this time the medical staff was awesome. Like I was cracking jokes to them. They were receiving it. It was either pity laughter. They thought it was funny. I was having a good time. They were bringing me ice because they said I couldn't have water. They were giving me like ice cubes to suck on to kind of because they were doing other stuff. And she goes, "How do you feel?" I was like, "Well, I have a lot of cramps and stuff. Like I don't know if you would give me Midol or what, but like, it's like, but I don't feel very well, and I know it's from heat exhaustion. I know it's self-caused by not drinking water and taking, I didn't think because being dumb. So they hooked up the IV, got the water going, the saline. I was chewing some ice stuff, and they're like, "Well, how's your pain now?" And I'm like, it's I don't like it. And she's like, "Okay," and they hooked me up with morphine. Maybe something else. I'm like, and my first time on morphine that I was aware of because I've been laid up in the hospital before for military stuff and other stuff. Right. But I was like, I felt that the intravenous, whatever. I was like, I like this.
I like this.
So then I end up at home on the couch, and I love, which is why we're going to lead into being sick, you know, a little bit. But I don't like when things happen, but I love that 1 to 3, 4 day period when you're down for something, because rather my mom or my wife will go shopping for me, and they'll baby me, and I love it. And so, which when we go into being sick, it's the same station I set up with being sick. So I'll go to that in a second. So remember, I said I have a station and a system, and it makes being down for the count it makes it really enjoyable. But I remember I was so like out of it on like morphine and other stuff. I sat there, I was like, and I was watching all kinds of shows, and I'm just sitting on my couch, and I was like, man, this is a really, really relaxing day. And I didn't have to do any chores, you know. My wife took the kids outside, and I laid on the couch because I love my couch when I'm sick. That's my go-to place.
Your couch is really comfortable.
It is very comfortable. I challenge you to sit on there and not just fall asleep.
Remember whenever we were there and we were like, hey, we got to go do some work, and we both fell asleep.
Well, I knew the trap was
on different parts of the couch.
I knew the trap was together. Big spoon. No, but I was. But I told him, because I know the trap of the couch. I'm like, bro, don't be deceived. If we don't get up soon, we're not going to get up. He's like, yeah. I was like, dude. And the next thing you know,
your daughter climbed up on me. Your cat climbed up on me. And we all fell asleep.
Yeah, we just woke up a bunch of kids and cats on us. And it's a long sectional, so he's on one side and the other. And I just wake up looking over and I'm like, whatever kids and cats weren't on me were on him. Like talk about couches. But anyways, so like it gives me an excuse to sleep on the couch. You know, some people are like, oh, you're in trouble, sleep on the couch. Well, one, I don't believe in that. I'm the husband. I'm the man of my house. My wife's the wife. She's the woman of the house. No one kicks anybody out of bed. But to me, going to the couch is a freaking treat. Because I just love my couch, and I have my big curved TV, and I have my snack station set up, and it's like I'm on vacation from life and everything. It's just a good break.
Couch
snack station.
Sleep is different. It is not the same.
Is
that why you always fall asleep on my couch?
Correct.
Well, he's an expert of sleeping. He falls asleep everywhere.
He's good at it.
If there's anybody who knows, it's me. I'm an expert in the field. I will tell you 100%. A good couch sleep. I don't know if it's the same for females. I have no idea. I know, especially for males, a good couch sleep.
Don't need to cite this. He is the source.
They hit different. They hit different. I don't care what you say. If you sleep in your bed, that's one thing. But like, you take like a good 25-minute dad power nap on a couch
after eating a funnel cake and drinking 2 bottles of Gatorade.
It is energizing in a different way.
Yeah,
that's 100%. True. That's very true. Whenever I fall asleep in the middle of the day on the couch, I wake up and I'm like, why can't every sleep be like this?
That is fact.
It's like a treat, you know, like eggnog. It's seasonal. It's every once in a while. It's good. If you had eggnog every day, it wouldn't be that great.
Right.
So like, I love sleeping in the bed with my wife. You know, I enjoy that. I enjoy my bed. I enjoy that. You know, that kind of thing. You know, and I mean that in a clean way, not in a. You know, I enjoy that. But every once in a while, I gotta have my sleep eggnog. You know, I gotta go to that couch, you know, and just be in my own island of comfort. But before I go into how that ties into my sickness and so that, because we are running low, do you want to throw in your emergency room story?
Yeah. So you said something earlier right before we started this episode, and it reminded me. I don't remember what you said, but I know I remember what it reminded me of. So I went to the hospital for, I feel like I had like these palpitations in my chest. I wasn't sure if it was my heart or what the deal was, indigestion. I don't know. It scared me, and then my boss was like, I'm going to take you to the hospital, because my left arm was feeling a little weird. So I was like, well, let's just check it out. So I went there. I'm in the emergency room, like waiting in the bed. You know, they put you in a bed to come and check on you stuff. The first person to show up is this lady that's like, hey, so if you pay now with a debit card, you can get a 20% discount. And I was like, why is this a thing? Oh, man, I was mad. I mean, I guess I get it, because the hospital has to make money and run and stuff. But it's like, why are you talking to me when I'm laying in the bed in the emergency room, scared that I might like have a heart attack?
Right.
Like, why are you coming to me being like, you can get a 20% discount? Like, leave me alone.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm with you, brother. I'm just testing out my wife's booty bands.
So I thought of another story, just a real quick one.
That one seems to be less resistance.
Yeah, I think that one is that's a better booty bulk kind of pump.
So my brother Randy has a pacemaker and a defibrillator in his chest. And the reason is because we were playing football, or he was playing football a long time ago, and he was chasing this guy, and he was.
You go ahead. I'm just.
He was chasing this guy, and his heart started beating really fast, and his heart rate. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. We went to the emergency room, and we're waiting in the emergency room, and his eyes are bloodshot red. He can't breathe. He's holding his chest. His face is flushed, like he can't breathe. He feels like his heart's going to beat out of his chest. And he stops to look at the TV in the waiting room to check the score of the Patriots game.
That is your brother to a T.
That is him to a T.
That's awesome.
Turns out his heart rate was at 300 beats a minute.
Oh, no.
So they laid him down on the table. They hooked up the EKG or whatever that thing is that tells you your heart rate. And they were like, we need everybody right now because his heart rate was 300 beats a minute. And apparently that kills athletes instantly most of the time.
Yeah, dude.
So they shocked him. I think they ended up shocking him like 7 times and gave him like this medicine to get his heart to slow down. And it took a while for them to get it to slow down. So now.
That's scary. That is scary.
And what was even worse is the doctor or one of the nurses or whatever came out to me and they were like, hey, do you have your parents that you can call? And I was like, that's the worst question that they can ask you. So I got real scared for a minute. I went and called my parents and I was like, they needed me to call you to come up here. Randy's in the hospital. So yeah, anyway, so he has a pacemaker and a defibrillator in his chest that the leads go down his armpit and into his heart. And they can actually, what's crazy is they can control his heart rate over the phone.
That's
Yeah, he goes, I don't like that at all.
no. But he's an android.
He is now, yeah. But yeah, so if his heart slows down, it'll kick it back up, and if it goes too fast, it'll slow it back down. So he has a pacemaker and a defibrillator in his chest, and he has a $250,000 doctor bill.
Oof.
He did not have insurance at the time.
Oh, that is ouch. And I was crying about telling my wife not to call the ambulance.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll take the bill over being dead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm grateful. I'm just glad. Because, yeah, I'm gonna stop being a baby next time my wife's like, call him. So I go, yeah, sure. Because like that right there, that's a serious freaking bill.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, man. His life's worth a lot more than that.
Yeah, so he keeps getting messages from doctors and the hospital and all that kind of stuff, and they send him letters and stuff. And he's like, I can give you $10 a month. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do because
I got $2.
right. Well, and what's crazy is it's $250,000, but it's like from like 40 different places, and they all want money at the same time.
Oh, trust me, I know.
It's like how in the world? Oh yeah, that's true. It's like how in the world are you supposed to even consider paying off $250,000? That's like a really nice house.
Yeah, they don't care. How you do.
Well, what's crazy is they wrote off a good portion of it. Like several of them did.
Some of these medical expenses really tick me off. I understand some of the validity behind some of them. It's like, really, you drove me 2 miles in that ambulance, and it's gonna cost me like thousands of dollars,
Right.
And what, to mop it up the blood? Like, I didn't hook me up to anything. You didn't give me medication. Like, I get it, but it is very, very like super expensive.
Yeah.
More than I think. I think we could cut some costs here. I think it's like we can get away with it. Not the hospitals, but the insurance, the everything that goes in between it.
Well,
you know more about that than I do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's to make it simpler than it actually is, and just for purposes. A lot of the issue is that I mean, there is costs, for having the EMT that has training and blah 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 blah. But like, just looking at ambulance in general, part of the problem is that, like you said, there is insurance, and so that has slowly kind of escalated pricing to the point where it's like, they can kind of, and also, I mean, talking about insurance, a lot of ambulance providers are out of network with any kind of insurance, so it means they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
Within a reasonable economy.
I believe in a competitive market thing, but there's just something not right. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So I believe EMTs are awesome, right? They see people at their worst. They gotta have some nerves of steel. I thank God for people like that.
I couldn't.
They're a type of person that it's awesome, right? Here's the thing, though, is that if I'm getting, let's say a $7,000, I got good insurance, right? I do. So let's say I'm getting charged like $7,000 for their unleaded fuel, or let's say premium fuel, to fuel that ambulance, to drive me a 3-minute drive from my house to the local hospital, right?
Yeah.
That's about what it is, right? Then those EMTs and the ambulance driver better be making a lot more money than they do.
Oh yeah, they don't make
There's my problem, right? So like the thing is that you guys, I believe you should make profit, but there's a level you're making a lot of profit, and the people who actually are, running these things aren't making nearly what they should, like not even close. And so, because I do respect the crap out of them, man, like they're in my top 20 most respected job professions out there, and that's up there with freaking special forces and stuff like that. Because I mean, your job is to come in and every day meet people at their worst, in the worst situation. I mean, that's amazing, and people still are beating you because they're scared and all that stuff. I mean, they're a special kind of person. I would be a lot more comfortable with paying that if EMTs made 3 times what they make, and they would still make tons of profit.
Well, you're looking at a guy back at the EMT who's saving your life, who probably makes like $15 an hour.
Yeah, and that's what drives me nuts, because it's not the price as much. I mean, yes, but it's like the allocation of the money.
Yeah,
because you look at it's like they spent $1. This current gas was they probably spent $1.12. Right, maybe to get me to that hospital. Maybe I'm giving the whole.
No, if it's $2 a gallon, there's no way.
It's $1.65 a gallon.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, at $2 a gallon, there's no way driving you 3 minutes is going to cost like half a gallon.
I was giving a huge benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I was rounding up for him $1.
That's why if somebody's like, "Hey, can you?" Or like, if I'm like, "Hey, man, can you drive me like down the street over here?" They're like, "Yeah, it'd be $5 in gas," and I'm like,
now if you're using their equipment, right, and I understand there's cleaning fees or stuff like that, but come on, like 10 grand. Like, no. Here's the thing, right? And that's it from what is left over from what your insurance. Like it's ridiculous. The helicopter one, I can justify that because helicopter fuel, timing, the emergency, like that makes sense. That makes sense. But when you got somebody driving you down the road, and I can run it on foot, and I can run it on foot in 8 minutes
while I'm injured.
Yeah. If on normal circumstances, right, and just a handful of minutes, and you spend $1 in gas, rounding up for you, like. You should pay them very well and still make a really awesome profit and still not net charge a couple thousand. Now, I think it should go based off of, like, let's say I use equipment or they put me on something there or whatever. Anything that could endanger the staff or more that I have to use that's of their product. Things like. But like, it does bother me because I'm sitting there thinking I'm dying, I'm bleeding out, I can't grab my chest, I'm suffocating, and the first thing I say is, "Don't call an ambulance, just drive. We can make it," right? Because and and they have to go through a process. So I'm sitting in the ambulance, and my EMTs were amazing, like they were awesome, but protocols like that. But they're sitting there in my driveway for like another 5 or 6 minutes. I could have been in the hospital and waited for them there.
Yep.
If I drove and I'm not knocking, I'm just talking about the way it's ran, as far as the overall umbrella. To me, the people at the EMTs are heroes. But they need to.
Whoever runs their
everything after that,
at least have coupons or something or discount based on.
Dude, my
coupons in the mail.
I got a Groupon.
Parties.
I got a Groupon.
Dude, my brother, they drove him from the hospital here to St. Louis in an ambulance. I can't imagine what that costs. That's like 120 miles.
Yeah. I
can't imagine what that costs.
It's taking advantage of people at the worst.
Well, as do funeral homes.
Yeah. Well, that's a rant for another time.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we're going to being sick because we're
sick envelope. Of the way that they handle.
So
that's a soapbox I won't get on right now.
Yeah. I mean,
especially without more research.
For me, for sure. Like Amanda says this all the time. Like me and her are the exact opposite. So like if I get like injured, like actually injured, let's say I like chop my arm off, I can kind of like just scream and then grit my teeth and be all right. Like I'm like, this hurts, but it'll be okay. Well, just take me, do whatever you gotta do. If I get sick, I am immediately a child, 100%. Like I could have a cold, and like I'm just like in the fetal position, like I'm gonna die. Like every single time. Amanda hates it because literally, like I'll have like a minor like sinus infection, and I'm like, babe, I feel like my head's gonna explode. I'm like, I hate this. I'm like, I can't breathe. And she's like, literally you're fine. I'm like, but like I jumped off a car one time, and I don't know if you were there at the church, and like the door like sliced my ribs open, and I'm literally. And,
I was definitely not there for that.
yeah,
You remember something like that?
yeah. Amanda was there, and she was literally. That's an exaggeration. It wasn't like it was like my ribs were flailed, but like it like cut me open, and I was like, oh my, yep, that hurt. I'm like, I'm good though. Like it's all fine. And she's like, you need to go get that looked at. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Just
Give me some duct tape and paper towels.
But yeah, as soon as I get a sinus infection and I have to get like minor antibiotics and some steroids, I'm like, I'm gonna die. I hate my life. Kill me now. Take me back. I'm back. Old Yeller me. Which actually leads into, I don't know if this counts as sick, but it's similar. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible thing, and Amanda laughed at me for it for weeks, and I was so mad. So I'm kind of tubby currently, but I didn't know I wasn't always like that. I used to work out quite a bit, and
I used to be a wrestler.
yeah, I wrestled for 4 years in high school, and I was mediocre, but I loved it. So about a year ago, probably 2 years ago, maybe now, I was like, I'm going to hit back into the gym. I'm going to get my routine back, right? Had all my old programs written down. I go one day and I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. Went through my old routine, went fine, felt good, went home, went to bed. Woke up next morning about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the dog out for a walk. So I get halfway into the street, taking the dog for the walk, feeling okay.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, literally, I face plant in the middle of the road. I'm like, huh.
Cool trick.
Interesting. This is fine. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get back up. Walk another 3 steps, cerebral palsy, just literally face plant. I'm like, huh. Yeah, my legs don't work anymore. Went through this for like the rest. So I'm like a quarter mile from my house at this point. I'm having to walk with my knees locked because my legs are so jacked up. The muscles in them are so destroyed that they cannot hold my weight any longer. So I am walking like stiff-legged, like I have little braces on, like double leg Tiger King. And every single time that my knees unlock, I face plant. So I finally get back to this is like 5:30 in the morning. Like there's no one out. It's dark outside. I finally hobble my way home with my dog, who is pulling me down every about 10 steps. Get her back in the apartment. I have stairs down to my apartment too. So I'm literally like grasping onto the ledges for dear life, dragging my useless paralyzed legs behind me.
Dude, that sucks.
Oh, it was so bad. And then
Every
finally,
step of the way.
Every knot step.
Yeah, like pretty much every 15 steps, it's like my entire legs just give out and I'd flop. And so I finally get into the hallway.
Your hallway's really long too.
Yeah, I know. I finally get to the hallway of my apartment, and I'm like, you ever done the thing when you were a kid, right? When you're trying to climb the walls, You're like Spider-Man, so you have your arms on both sides, you're like climbing up like that. That's how I am, except it's with my arms trying to keep me like away, like upright. And I get halfway down the hallway, and my grip fell. I literally just collapsed in the middle of the hallway. I'm just like, I cannot get up because of the space. So I'm just like crawling into my bedroom because my legs are no longer functional. And Amanda's just sitting there watching me. She's been watching me since I got in the house. Watched me literally face plant twice to fall over and have to crawl my way into the bedroom. She's like, what's up with you? I'm like,
she probably just thought you were
my legs don't work. And she just busts out laughing for like 15 seconds. She didn't help me either. I crawled my way into the bed.
I was trying to give her an alibi. She was like, she probably thought you were training real hard, just doing it. Arms only like.
No, she is a mean lady and likes to see me suffer.
That's funny.
And that's how she treats me every time I get sick too. And I do act like a child. I understand that, but I have a bad time.
She probably knows you'll milk it, so she's trying to
And I hope she listens. I know she's going to listen to this because she listens to every podcast. I want you to know I'm not lying. This is completely honest, and you're a bad person.
But
you're my wife. I love you.
But I love you. Yeah.
But you're a bad person.
That's awesome.
That was the chair, not my butt. I mean, it was my butt, but it was my butt, my chair.
Chair butt.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. See. No, I didn't do it. Wow.
So you said you're basically like the same way. Like you just like don't get sick.
So here's how I do being sick. Right. It's a big deal for me. Right. And I'll milk it for everything I can.
So that was he was milking a cat right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a big dilly dill.
So what I do, ready? So I'm gonna do a very quick, because we have to tie it up soon. I'm gonna do a very quick, like paint a picture of I'm going to Bob Ross this verbally for you guys. So what I do is I get my happy couch. I get my spot in the corner there with the end table.
I think that's more Mr. Rogers.
No.
That's actually more Herbert.
I'm blaming it on all the things on my nose right now.
Right.
I can't. It was anyway. So I'll get in pajamas, right? Because heck yeah, right.
Right.
Gotta
Are
be
they
all
footy pajamas?
Gotta be all silky smooth, you know. Good. Okay. So you gotta be all silky smooth, you know. And so then I'll get my spot, right, my armrest, have my table there, and then I will have snacks brought to me. And so usually I'll get the request, you know, be like, well, you know, now it's more modern, so it's what you want to order from Instacart or whatever. But before, it's like, well, I'm going to town with you. I was like, I like this type of soup, the one with the stars in it. I was like, I want a variety of Gatorades and juices. Don't get me the fruit punch. That's the only red flavor I don't like. You know, and I'll kind of lay out for us so it's really easy for, you know, and I'll give my list of like, I want these are my snacks. If they don't have these three, then these are the three backup snacks, right? I'll have it going like my shows or whatever, or YouTube. I'll usually watch Just Play Nonsense because it's a fact, a medical fact. Don't fact check it. Don't waste your time. If you watch JPN and you're sick, well, one, you should subscribe. It'll make you feel better. But if you're sick, it cures the flu. I've even heard rumors of corona, but I don't want to go there. I'm just saying. So if you're not feeling well, watch JPN. You'll feel better. It's just a weird medical fact.
Somebody's going to write in and be like, my father died. I had it watched and it didn't work. You lied to me.
You're like, you watched the wrong episode. The volume wasn't on an even number.
Yeah,
was
don't
it?
watch the We're All Gonna Die episode.
Yeah.
Which is an episode. But you gotta watch the right episode. Just get it prescribed. Just hit me in the comments and I'll let you know. You let me know what's going on. I'll tell you what episodes to watch. Make sure you like and share.
Michael is the JPM witch doctor.
Yeah. But you gotta share it with people, right? There
Yeah,
you
there's
go.
There's a process.
No, but anyway, so I'll watch whatever I feel like watching, you know. And so I'll get my snacks and my stuff brought to me. And I get to be a baby for a couple of days, and I like it because I work hard. You know, I'm very busy, so it's kind of a nice break for me. Lately, I've been like a vampire because it's a different condition. I'm still in my comfortable spot, but you have to sit sleep it up because you can't, you know, bleed. So I'm just like this with pillows propped up. I got like a pillow fortress, and then so. This has been the last thing on that one, right? So my food station stuff, but here's been this last encounter that has been weird. So my wife and I'm usually the one who finds the best shows on streaming sources, right? Mm-hmm. You know, whenever I've already watched, whenever I'm caught up on all the Just Play Nonsense episodes, I need to watch something new, right?
Right.
So I'll go on and I'll pick a show, and then my wife like, hey, that's awesome, watch with me, and then you know, of course, next thing you know, like. By the end of the week, she's like 3 seasons ahead of me, and I'm like, what the heck? And every time, like, we gotta watch together, right?
Man, I hate that.
Yeah, so it drives me nuts, right? But I digress, right? Let me get back to my point here. So, like, the thing this week has been this show called. I'm gonna go and promote it here. They're been off the air for a while, but have you ever heard of Psych?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a show. I'm tying it to what happened here, right? So I'm like a big kid, right? But just remember, there's a reason I'm saying this. So I was watching Psych, and the premise of Psych, basically, in a nutshell, is that this dude has very good attention to detail, which I have very good attention, not this guy's level, but you know, but he knows everything in a room, and he has a good reasoning skills, and he manipulates the police department into thinking he's a psychic. So he's psychically solving all these things, but he's not actually. He's just really smart and notices everything and puts it, and is able to use the really skilled deductive reasoning and put things together and solve stuff. Right? He's always just a bit. So he convinces everybody he's a psychic, whatever. He does this thing where he's like, you know,
and he's real bad at it too. Like the faking it. He's like, oh,
yeah.
oh.
I see something here. I see something here. Like there is something in front of me. Yes, there is. And it was, and it, you know, whatever. But just it's a pretty funny show. So. My wife and I have very different senses of humor. There's some stuff I'll be like, why are you not laughing? It's really funny. And then she's like, because I don't think it's funny, right? And so it's very rare we find a show where like we both agree it's
funny.
You know, we're laughing at the same stuff consistently. And so this show, she laughs so hard, and I think it's pretty funny, you know, some parts of it, because it is. But I've never seen her laugh so hard on a show than what she does in this. She laughs, somehow it just tickles her funny bone. But she laughed so hard that she was laughing, that it was causing her to close one eye. It was like clenched, and she was like doing some weird face. And then and then I started laughing at how hard she was laughing, and then my nose started to bleed.
Oh man,
you've sabotaged yourself.
I was like, was like, you just ruined out. Like, but no, but she's been taking really good care of me, and I really like that process of being sick because I get to be a baby. I get to kind of indulge in not having responsibilities, and I enjoy that quality time because I've been off work lately,
Right.
And so I've got to spend time with my kids because I'm not actually sick, so I don't have to quarantine myself in the room. It's just an injury, self-inflicted unintentionally. But, I've got to cuddle with my kids, spend time with them, spend time with my wife, and I don't have to do any chores. I don't do anything. I just I enjoy being sick. And even this one, which kind of sucked because I couldn't lay down, I love it, man. And like every time I get sick, I'm usually a lot more sick than I really am. Don't edit that out.
Because you ham it up.
Yeah, because I ham it up big time. But I freaking love it. And when my kids, I get that from my mother. When I was a kid, my mom, if I was sick, especially just seems every year around my birthday, school time, but every time I was sick, my mom made a big deal out of it, right? And some people might say, oh, well, that kind of encourages the wrong behavior. No, it didn't, because whenever I actually was sick, I felt comfort, love, and I seemed to get better a lot. Even though I milked a lot, I felt better along. And it's a nice kind of experience to bonding kind of thing. And it's an enjoyable thing that can happen once a year or whatever. And so now with my kids, I do the same thing. Like they expect it. They're like, oh, Dad, they don't sound like that. Oh, Dad. But like I set them up a food station, I get them their snacks. I get their TV. I took them, whatever they want. And when I was a kid, I get one toy for free when I was sick. And so I did my kid, it's cheap or something, whatever, So, but it's just getting sick in my household is freaking fun, man. It's enjoyable. It's like you're the king or queen or princess or whatever for like that period of time. It's amazing. I love it. So I don't know if you guys did, but it's worked well in my household. How do you guys do being sick?
I rarely ever get sick. Rarely, so rarely that I honestly don't really have, it's not a thing.
I haven't really had the flu in 4 years. I don't even get immunizations. I'm not like,
You hear that, hey girl?
Yeah. But like I keep having things happen, like being laid up from dehydration or whatever, or
that's what I'm saying. It's nothing.
Or I'm not gonna, we'll say, well, that's good. But like, I don't get the flu. I haven't in 4 years, right? This is the last time I had the flu. When I did get it, it was pretty bad. But like, I believe in immunizations. I'm not that person, but I don't believe in flu immunizations. And that's a story for another time. And there's a lot of people a lot smarter than us that can argue points on both sides for the flu immunization. We need the other ones. I'm just saying, story for another time.
Right.
But yeah, so I have a strong immune system. So, but man, I don't want to miss out on my sick time. So like every once in a while I'm like, hey honey, I don't feel very well. I don't feel, maybe it's because I'm tired because of this, whatever. I feel nauseous. I'll lay down and I'll always get that night of that day.
Yeah. See, I don't have anybody to do that. So if I were to do
now,
that,
buddy, you let me know when you're sick.
I'll call you.
I'm going to set you up a food station. I'm going to get you the silkiest pajamas from Walmart.
If you're going to get me some pajamas, I want some of those like footy pajamas. That's what I want.
Okay. I'm going to custom order them for you. It's going to be like...
You're going to have to because they're going to have to be real big.
It's going to say, I'm super sick. Help me, bro. It's going to be real pitiful. So the footsy's going to have like some kind of weird animal ears. Maybe
yeah. I'm down for that.
Maybe like Katugi ears attached to it. It'll be all custom. It'll be just plain nonsense pajamas. And then I'm going to set you with the most like elaborate like tent set up over your couch and spot.
Right.
And dude, I'm gonna show you what you've been missing these years having a sick station.
Yeah, like
you're gonna be like, yes, I'm sick.
Anytime I get sick, I either like I'll still go to work or I'll do whatever. Because I mean, I grew up without my mom, so I didn't have that. My dad was always at work, so if I got sick, it's just like I'm fending for myself.
Well, from now on, metaphorically, when you're sick, I'm gonna be your sick mom. It's like so there's moms, there's stepmoms, and there's sick moms.
Right.
I'm going to nurse you back to health, and you're going to know what you've been missing, my friend.
I'm down for that.
Yep. I'm going to get your temperature and say, well, looks like you ain't going to work today, young man. You have the bestest of the treats. I got you, man. Hey.
Bestest of the treats.
Boom. You're going to start enjoying this.
Yeah. The worst I've ever had, though, I had a real bad migraine, and I went upstairs. I think I told the story once before. In a completely pitch black room. And I laid there and tried to go to sleep, but I ended up bringing the cell phone with me and it rang and it woke me up and I had to take it downstairs to my brother because we shared a phone. But yeah, that was bad. It was bad. That was the worst. The worst sick I've ever been was when I had a migraine. A lot of times, though, if I don't eat properly, like my blood sugar will drop.
Yeah.
And then I'll run to like McDonald's or whatever to get some food real fast, and I'll try to eat it. It'll take me like 45 minutes to eat one burger because I'm so sick to my stomach every time I take a bite.
What's that sound?
That was the air conditioner kicking off.
These things pick up a lot of stuff, man. It's good quality stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patreons. No,
Yeah, I think that's it for this episode.
yeah, that's it. So let's wrap this up.
I'm sick of this episode.
Oh, yeah, you punned right in the last moment.
I got one in.
Yep. So,
Michael 1, Rob 1, me 0.
okay, so once again, this is Just Plain Nonsense. I'm just playing Michael.
I'm just playing Rob.
And I'm just Shane.
Hey,
Hey, you kinda
he added one.
brought it together. You kinda a little bit of
added
both.
one, yeah.
A little bit like I'm gonna join you guys, but I'm not gonna fully conform.
Right. You can't. What is it? You can't be a nonconformist unless you do and act exactly like we do.
Here's our rule. Here's our rules for anarchy. I don't know. That was weird. Okay, so anyway, that was the episode. Like, subscribe. You do that part. That's your thing. Whatever.
You guys, if you like the video, like it and subscribe. Hit that notification icon so that I guess you need to smash it or whatever. I think that's still
Smash that like button.
And you know what? Actually, if you know somebody who's sick, send them this episode.
yeah. Maybe it'll make them feel better,
Maybe we'll bring them out of their sick couch.
or it could teach them how to be a big baby to get more likes from their family.
So
That is
tag
the
someone.
correct
So
way.
tag or send this to someone who's sick because I think they'd enjoy it.
But yeah, so go check us out on nonsense.podcast if you want to follow us on Instagram. We've got Twitter at _ plain nonsense, I think is what that is. There's so many of them. They're all different names. So if you're going to forgive me if I get them wrong. The correct one will be in the text down below. Let's see. We've got Facebook at JPN Podcast. And then you can actually watch or listen to these episodes on our website at justplainnonsense.ninja. I haven't done this in a while, so it's like it's hard.
Go anywhere you can and type in Just Plain Nonsense. And if you find us, you get involved, you like it, you watch it, love it if you can, share it. Anywhere that you can find it. There you go. That covers it all.
Yeah. All right, that's enough plugs, and I'm sick of this, so let's go. I'll see you guys later.
All right, bye.